Do you need help with something? You can't hear it?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Do you? Is it good? Because you can control those cameras that way, okay? Good afternoon and welcome to the Future of Real Estate, Tulsa's source for local real estate news and information. I'm Daryl Baskin of the Baskin Real Estate Specialists at eXp Realty. Today's program brought to you by TTCU Federal Credit Union, Integrity Title and Abstract, Window World of Tulsa, Goodman Construction, and the Baskin Real Estate Specialists. I've got a great show. We have a great show. Can't do it by myself. I have to have good guests. And today, South Tulsa Community House will be, and normally I start with the Community Spotlight. That's how we first got connected, was through the Community Spotlight request that I send out and say, hey, I'd really love to feature your organization. And as we get into the discussion of 61st and Peoria, where South Tulsa Community House serves, the central point there, it really got me to thinking of the past shows that I've talked about, the redevelopment, the excitement taking place at 61st and Peoria, long forgotten, overlooked, the new name Hope Valley, and the efforts that are going in behind this. So this will be the main topic of our show.
It's a great topic to talk about. You know, people sometimes forget that area down there, with all that they've done with the river parks, you know, and you got Johnson Park is right there, and of course the river runs through it all the way over there. Is a that's the name of the movie, The River Runs Through It.
I know. I was like, is there some double meaning there?
I'll try to think about some way to connect that later on in the show. But the point is that sometimes we forget that area. I mean, you're talking about on the eastern boundary, you've got Southern Hills Golf Course. The western boundary, you've got the river, and then that 4-mile section right there of some really great opportunities that are going on.
Well, we'll talk about those and what South Tulsa Community House is doing to serve the community. And it just happened that this morning, actually yesterday, I was talking to one of my kids. And so I'm doing my own junior achievement community spotlight here. Junior Achievement does great things for our kids and our community, because they're the future. They're the ones that are, in a short period of time, they'll be graduated, they'll be in the workforce, and the things that they're learning and they're prepared for are actually what determine whether or not they will be productive parts of the community, or if they are looking for handouts in the community. I mean, we've got to keep capitalism going, right?
Oh, we sure do. People got to have jobs and people got to work.
Here, I've got to tell you about this conversation. It really hit home with me. So this is one of my own kids, all right?
One of your 35.
One of my 8.
8.
Yes. I won't identify them. But I'm sitting here having a conversation about, you know, this is how many years it's going to be, which goes by very quickly, that you're out of school, and would you like to move out, or do you want to live with me for the rest of your life? Oh, Dad, I'm looking forward to moving out, and I can have an apartment. And I said, oh, great, that's great. What kind of car do you want to drive? And so we started talking about the same things that I cover with my classes when I'm doing Junior Achievement, using Junior Achievement's curriculum. You go in and you start applying your own knowledge from life and your business experience, etc. And keep in mind, some of these kids, they don't have anyone in their homes to be that representative, to be the mentor, that they see going, the example that they see going to work every day. And here in my own home, I'm having this conversation with my kids. And so we're talking about how much it's going to cost for their apartment, and, you know, are you ever going to want to buy a house? Are you going to, and the answers were just getting kind of looser and looser. And at some point I just knew, okay, Daryl, back off. You're losing them. So we started just with simple stuff, like how many hours are you going to work? How much money can you make? Still, I was losing them. And then I went back, how much, wanting something out of life, how many times do you want to be able to go to Quick Trip each week? Because now I'm getting to the treats, you get a soft drink, you get a donut, you know, I stop by.
Coffee.
Well, they won't like their special treat, the donut and the soft drink. And so I finally get an answer. And do you know what's coming? my son here, Greer, he knows what's coming. He's heard the story before. And I say, okay, well, you need to have money to do that. So how many hours are you going to want to work a week to be able to afford to do that? And this is the honest to God truth. Dad, homeless people get to go to Quick Trip. And it was at that moment that there was a real epiphany of this disconnect between where money comes from, how you get it, how you establish what you want out of life, and how you're going to get that. There is a huge disconnect in our society with our kids today. It's the same thing akin to what I did when I was a kid, when I said, well, Mom, you can just write a check, thinking, that was just, all you did was write a check, and that's the only way you paid for stuff, and it was free money.
Today, people think it's a credit card.
Even with my own kids. And this, I mean, what a wake-up call for me. And that's what makes me so passionate about junior achievement, because it doesn't matter how much I may teach it or preach it to my own kids. Sometimes just a different person giving the story, the example, causing some kids to think, changes their lives in a way that we can't even measure, because it truly isn't very long before they're 18, they're starting to be on their own. They could be sucked in with credit card offers of credit card debt, that get them in credit card debt. You see this as
all the time.
The credit union, and how people are literally spending 5 or 10 years digging themselves out of a year of getting into credit card debt.
Let me tell you just how important financial planning and counseling and teaching that to your kids, how important that really is. Financial literacy is a lost art in today's society. People are just used to pulling out their credit card, swiping it, I'll think about it later, and then the bills come, and then all of a sudden all the bills came, and then all of a sudden they don't know what to do, and they're stuck. We had a conversation this last week with someone who's facing that very, very serious situation, and when we went through just a real basic budget analysis, how much money are you bringing in, how much cash are you actually bringing in, because their confusion between what they earned in their gross earnings versus what they earn with their taxable, after they pay taxes, and we call their net earnings, was completely disconnected in what they could actually afford, right? And so having those conversations is really important. And I'll tell you something else about the juniors and seniors that we are seeing today. It used to be that lots of them wanted to go to college and wanted to get a degree. We kind of told them, you need to go get a degree, right?
Right.
This next generation coming up is not interested in getting a degree. They're not interested in it. They figure, why do I need to do it? I can go to Google and learn how to do it, right? I don't need to go get a degree or have a certification. But what we ought to do is have Dr. Tiger come from Tulsa Technology Center, because those juniors and seniors can do a concurrent enrollment program and graduate with a certificate to be able to earn a living, to be able to talk about and deal with the things you're talking about.
Well, it's something that's, if we haven't made the point, and hopefully you've had your own experience with some kids in your family, or just people that you love and you want to see them make that progress. Well, think about all the kids that are in our school systems that need that example, and in the classroom. That is where junior achievement comes in. We bring in the volunteers. It's very simple training. It's stuff. It's just you and your life that you're sharing with another generation, and they desperately need it. They desperately need it. We need it as a country, and the existence of our economic system, and what makes us the great country that we are. We need that education. And I'm begging you, please, this is the time of year, contact Junior Achievement, ja.ok.org, I think, or JAOK, pardon me, JAOK.org, and become a volunteer. It is so rewarding. It's a lot of fun. And if you are terrified to do it, contact me, use my real estate numbers, contact me. I will go to your first couple of classes with you just to help you get started and let you kind of ease in to the process. Don't let that slow you down.
It is super easy. I did one with a 6th grade class not too long ago, and they gave you a packet of materials. You go in there, the teachers are so glad you're there to help. You go through the process. That's all instructions are right there. And giving those chance if those kids understand financial literacy and a business and all the pieces of it, JA does a really great job.
JAOK.org. I'm Daryl Baskin. You're listening to The Future of Real Estate. Coming back, 61st in Peoria, Hope Valley, and South Tulsa Community House. Stay with us. Can you work with that?
Caught me off guard.
It's 116. You start paying attention at 113.
I apologize, sir.
Okay.
It won't happen again, sir.
Hey, remind me, what is the new guy's name?
He's in the back of me hollering, no name.
I live in a 100-year-old home. It's a home I fell in love with, and it has so many amazing features. But the one thing it does not have is straight windows. It has windows that are cracked and broken and worn out. I contacted Window World. They came in and put these brand new, amazing, incredibly beautiful windows into my home. From the outside of the house, they match the exterior perfectly. It looks like they've always been here. Now the windows are the jewels in the home. Window World, from the beginning to the end, they met and exceeded every expectation I had. Window World really is simply the best for less.
What we're doing, and but we have a lot more services than this stuff.
Sure.
But that's almost. The
We're
exact
trying.
same
We're
concerns.
trying to get the kids especially of disadvantaged families where they're already using your services. We want to break the cycle for the next generation,
That's what we're trying to do.
and that way we're coming alongside you.
Yeah, we have a lot of at the level even before that. There's like the mental state of mind that deals with optimism and hope and all that stuff, and that's one of the trying to get them on that track in the first place is one of our biggest focuses.
To get them to be optimistic.
Which
To get them to be optimistic.
We haven't gotten there yet, but that's
positively about
that. Yeah, the hierarchy of needs.
So
It's
that
we-
is
we satisfy
something I
a
want to
certain
use.
Portion of those, and
Mhm.
then kind of get them going on their way. But what we're finding is just at the beginning of the funnel, nobody's even focusing on the very beginning of the funnel to get them to even think that there's a chance.
Yeah, I got you.
And
Get our
that,
second.
in my
Here.
opinion, and other people might
Get your
have
second
different ones. I've
camera.
And but other people have different ideas too. So.
We have a TTCU offers a free financial literacy program. We put it in the schools, make all the schools take it. We can make it available to you guys too if you wanted to use it. But it's amazing to me how many
Okay.
adults we have come in that just are completely disconnected between what their earnings are and what their
You're not?
lifestyle is.
What are you doing?
creating a balance. And
What?
also I think along the
What are you
same
waiting
lines
for?
as,
Your shipment?
financial literacy, how do you use the money that you actually end up taking, that net that you talked about, and trying to encourage even minimal savings
Get them in there.
to just start
There you go.
saving something, even if it's just $10, and get people thinking about their future.
Right.
That we do need to save something along the way. But I also think there are things to are we
One address, thousands of homes, including commercial property. BaskinCommercial.com. That's a different URL. A little quicker. Just get right to the commercial stuff and the good music.
I like our music bed today. This is a
Don't
little
you?
different.
Well, you've missed it for a few weeks. We've started mixing it up a little bit, and I rate the songs as we go. This one, I would say, this would be like an 8.5, not quite a 9.
I just
Hey,
feel
Nat.
like maybe we should have video of us dancing around the studio, going at it. You know.
You can watch us on Facebook. There is no dancing.
Thank
today.
God.
Yeah, that's. I think that is one of the things that would violate Facebook's policies if that happened. So
I'm sure you're probably right.
2929 South Perkins Road in Stillwater, yes. 11 acres. This has an RV park that is not operating, but an industrial building. You could run an office out of it, an office and a repair shop. It's a steel building, and much of that 11 acres, of course, is just grass and undeveloped. Right there on Perkins Road. So it's the south side of Stillwater, and the price on it is $1,750,000. So more information about that, you can find it online, Google the address, or baskincommercial.com. Also, 6122 South Garnett Road in Tulsa. It is approximately 14,000 square feet. The back 7,500 square feet are not occupied right now, so it's ready for somebody to move in. And they would have, if you're the new owner, the lease income from the front 5 commercial spaces. So it is a good owner-occupied building where the owner wants income off the property. $990,000 is the list price. 6122 South Garnett Road. Well, you're listening to The Future of Real Estate, Tulsa's source for local real estate news and information. I'm Daryl Baskin of the Baskin Real Estate Specialists at eXp Realty. Today's program brought to you by TTCU Federal Credit Union, Integrity Title and Abstract, Window World, Goodman Construction, and the Baskin Real Estate Specialists. So, main topic today, South Tulsa Community House. I have 3 amazing people. Linda Way. Did I say it
Yes,
all right?
You said it correctly, absolutely.
Oh, I'm getting better. Josh and Christian. Tell us what South Tulsa Community House does first.
Okay, well, South Tulsa Community House is in the middle of what is known as the River Community, which is between 51st and 71st on one end, and between Riverside and Lewis. And basically provides social services to communities, to families within that community. A lot of them are single mothers, and the elderly, the disabled, and so on. And the type of services we provide, we include primarily a food pantry, where we do give them food. At the moment, we're not able to do client choice. We package the food for them and give them. So they get a monthly supplement of food. We also have in-house the emergency infant services. We have in-house legal aid, and we also have Tulsa Health Department coming in periodically. So it's a one-stop shop.
So the services are coming to you
Yes.
in the community. Now, you've defined the area, and I think many people just call it 61st and Peoria. They just kind of give it a general brand, but you're correcting that.
perception.
Okay,
Yeah.
and talk more about that. What have we done? What have we done wrong here as a community to just lump everything all together?
Well, I think definitely there's a history behind why 61st and Peoria is considered as a very high crime area. There's a history behind that. And I'm hoping my colleague Josh will talk a little bit more about that. But the area expands way beyond 61st and Peoria. And it's not all crime-ridden. And they're not all people who are just looking for handouts. It is the highest density of population in Tulsa within a 4-mile perimeter.
Let's say that again, because we've talked about the Peoria Bus Rapid Transit System and how that is going to change the ability for people who, let's face it, it's expensive to own a car.
Absolutely.
And if you don't own a car, if you're trying to get out of an economic circumstance where what's the first thing you buy? Food, a house, or a car? And people actually need a car in Tulsa. That you need a car more than you need a house. And that's a very difficult circumstance to be in, to keep all of these plates spinning in life, or to start them spinning, especially if you've had maybe you've made a bad choice, maybe just something bad happened to you and it wasn't due to your choice, then getting out of that is terribly difficult.
It is extremely difficult, and you're absolutely right about the transit system. In fact, there are a number of surveys that are going on right now. One is being conducted by the city of Tulsa, and one is a survey that we're doing in-house with our clients as they come through. But one of the top challenges that everybody points out is transportation. And it's transportation to get from one place to the other. We are offering food, and sometimes people cannot come because they can't get to where the food is. People are looking for work, and people are working, but it's very difficult to get to work. Just on Friday, yesterday, a young lady came in saying, I'm working from a certain time to a certain time. I wanted to know if I could get some tokens. Tokens is something that we do offer. We offer bus.
For the bus?
Yes, we offer bus tokens. And we actually offer bus tokens and a package for people that have been able to find work because of our services. It's a very interesting story of somebody who came in. We provided, we have a computer lab, and we provided assistance for them to apply for a particular position.
That's your business services under your categories here, the computer lab.
Yes.
You so much today is online.
It's
If
online,
somebody wants to
exactly.
apply for a job, if you don't have online access to do it,
Exactly.
you're not applying.
Exactly. You have no computer, you have no Wi-Fi, and you don't have the skill to actually get on. So we would like to do so much more. At the moment, we're quite limited in the services we can provide, but because of resource limitations, and we're hoping that as people become more and more aware of the need that exists, some of the challenges that exist, I talked about the transportation, but that people also become aware of the opportunities that exist within that particular area. People are keen. There is a level of hope that is arising, and people are keen to move from a dependency situation to a self-sufficiency situation. But we need to invest in the area.
Speaking of that, I think there's a certain amount of skepticism from people who aren't struggling with people who are struggling, because they've seen enough of people who are struggling only because they refuse to get out of the circumstances they're in when they're given opportunity. But you have your sleeves rolled up. You're down in the trenches every day. How much abuse of kindness is there, and how many people are really struggling and trying to get out? And then tell us a success story. And by the way, I've asked you way too much. We don't have enough time for all that. How much abuse is there? I mean,
I think that you will find abuse in any circumstance, even amongst people that are not hungry. And there will be, and that's what you give a certain percentage that something will be abused. But for the most part, there is an appreciation for the service, and knowing that if we do abuse the service will go away. And so people, they give value to the service that we provide. I'm not saying there isn't any at all.
Certainly.
There will always be some percentage in any circumstance, but for the most part, people appreciate the service we're giving, and they would like to get more if we could only provide more.
Well, I asked this as a softball to set this up.
Mm-hmm.
When you are filling up with gas, and somebody comes over and tries to bum money off of you, that's direct you to them. But when you're supporting a service, a community service like South Tulsa Community House, there's an accountability process that you have in place that allows someone like me or you listening to be able to donate and support, and that person who's receiving those services is being held accountable by these are the steps you need to do to qualify, and this is what you need to do to be able to get to the next phase in order to keep services, so that they can eventually be weaned off that and back on their feet, productive members of society, which is what we all want, and which is where we all benefit.
Absolutely, and that accountability is really very important for us, following certain processes and procedures, and our customers are aware of that they need to bring certain ID, that we've got records that we maintain to make sure that there's no abuse or people are not double dipping and things like that. So, but we would like to serve a much wider group of people.
Linda Way with South Tulsa Community House. I'm Daryl Baskin. You're listening to The Future of Real Estate. Taking a break. We'll be back with more about Hope Valley and South Tulsa Community House here in Tulsa. Stay tuned.
I live in a 100-year-old home. It's a home I fell in love with, and it has so many amazing features. But the one thing it does not have is straight windows. It has windows that are cracked and broken and worn out. I contacted Window World. They came in and put these brand new, amazing, incredibly beautiful windows into my home. From the outside of the house, they match the exterior perfectly. It looks like they've always been here. Now the windows are the jewels in the home. Window World, from the beginning to the end, they met and exceeded every expectation I had. Window World really is simply the best for less.
When quality and value matter most, choose Window World. Superior service, American-made products, and industry-leading warranties make us the #1 choice for your next home remodel. J.D. Power ranked Window World highest in customer satisfaction with window and patio door retailers. Be proud of your home and take care of it with a brand you can trust. Window World, America's exterior remodeler.
So we get a contract on your home, and now we've got to talk about those things that are staying with the house. The time to really talk about it, though, is now, before we have a contract. So things that are expected to stay will be kind of in the fine print. It's really not that fine. It's a section in the contract. Now, I've included that, a link to it, so that you can see it and review it. But there's some other items that are by default expected, and those things would be considered attached to the house. So if they're not listed in the section that I've included for you, that link, then maybe you need to remove them or replace them. Let me give you an example. Your great-grandmother's Tiffany lamp that you had installed. Well, if some buyer comes in and just falls in love with it, that's something that you're going to find very hard to replace. So replace it now. A buyer's going to come in, they're going to probably like or be indifferent to what you picked, but if you don't replace it ahead of time, then they're going to fall in love with it, and the whole sale of the house is going to be teetering on this lamp. Or window coverings, or bathroom mirrors, or another example, something that's just really special to you. So think about those things. If they are yours, get them out of sight, or if they're yours and you can't just go to Walmart and replace it with something else, get those out of sight. Now, the other items can be lawn implements of some sort, like decorations. Those can often be a gray area. So if there's a statuary or something of that nature, maybe a hand-painted mailbox, whatever, if you've got a question about it, call me and ask. And if in doubt, let's just get it out of sight so we don't have to worry about it and it doesn't become a hindrance to your successful sale and closing.
Profitability for the board of directors, which is why they're required to put more of their dollars into community reinvestment.
Which was similar to our conversation about REITs and the accountability to the shareholders.
But
this one's definitely a 9.
you should definitely go get all the money from those guys you can.
You're listening to The Future of Real Estate, Tulsa's source for local real estate news and information. I'm Darrell Baskin of the Baskin Real Estate Specialists at eXp Realty. Today's program brought to you by TTCU Federal Credit Union, Integrity Title and Abstract, Window World of Tulsa, Goodman Construction, and the Baskin Real Estate Specialists. We've been talking to Linda Way at South Tulsa Community House, but I'm going to take a break for just a moment. We need to cover something that I think is very relative that came up, Dan, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I don't know.
Right.
And it's credit reports,
Right.
soft pull versus the hard pull of a credit report.
What hurts you and what doesn't.
Exactly. And I need to update my information because my clients ask me this all the time. And I don't want to misrepresent something or tell them, don't worry about it. It's just a soft pull if there's an impact.
Right. So first of all, you should understand that your credit bureau score is driven by the amount of credit you're asking for and the amount of credit you've been using. Okay? So if you have, let's say you have a credit card and it has a $1,000 limit. The minute you borrow or use more than 30% of it, or $300, your credit score starts going down, right? And if you maintain a balance on that card, closer to the $1,000 mark, what it tells the credit bureau is, I don't have enough available credit to be able to handle something. I'm living on credit, and so it drops your credit score to affect it, right?
Now this is per card. So
Per card.
And I've had this situation, and I think this is what was happening. Tell me. I had 3 credit cards. 2 of them had like an almost zero balance, paid off every month. One of them I used for business, and it was almost maxed out because I was using it for a particular business purpose. I didn't want to mix everything. But despite the fact that I had more credit elsewhere, that particular card, it seemed, caused my credit score to be going down because it was a maxed out card. It showed over its 30% or whatever.
30%. So if you think about your credit card, and let's say that you borrowed $1,000, or it says your available credit is $1,000, but you've borrowed $1,000, and then they've charged you the interest charge on top of the $1,000, so now you owe $1,200 on that credit card. Right now, it looks like that you've overused your credit, and you're not paying your credit bill, which then would also have a significantly challenge your credit score. The same thing can happen on your payment history, right? If you pay your payments on time every month, you don't have anything missing, then it says, hey, this person's making their payments. The moment you don't make a payment, or a payment goes more than 30 days late on your credit bureau, all of a sudden it says, you're not paying your payments, your credit score suffers. Now, why does a credit score matter, right? Well, your ability to get homeowners insurance, your ability to get car insurance, your ability to get other credits, the ability to buy a car, the ability to do those things are all tied to your credit
And this
bureau.
is proven, this is just empirical data, says that if you pay your bills, if you manage your credit well, if you pay attention to these things, it's kind of it's an honor and integrity type of measurement, the best that you can get, that says you're trustworthy for the next. And when it's not all about this, I know that's sometimes a sensitive subject, but how you how you pay your bills says a lot about how you live the rest of your life.
That's exactly right.
And if you've not really had someone explain that to you, then you're missing out on a lot of opportunity that are benefits. When people look at your credit score, they say, man, this person's got it together. I'm going to give them these extra benefits because it's low risk for me as a
Right.
business person.
Right. The more likely you are to pay your loan, the more likely you are to pay me back. And therefore, I can give you a lower interest rate. I can give you better terms on your insurance. I can give you better terms on your whatever it is you're looking at, right? But when you stop paying your bills, or let's say you're driving the car and all of a sudden the car breaks down and you're like, well, forget it, you can just come pick it up,
Yeah.
right? Now all of a sudden you have a repossession on your credit bureau, and that's going to tank your credit score, right? Or a bankruptcy or a judgment. All of those things are telling the creditors out there, hey,
This
not
this
only-
person could be my problem.
could be my problem. Not only are they not paying their bill, but they just had this car over here that didn't stop working. They just decided to give it back, right? Which means that they're not going to honor their word to pay us back. So that's really what the credit bureau is measuring, is how you handle and your ability to access credit.
But this happens to good people. So you can
Happens to
have
great
bad
people.
things happen to good people. And so what is the time process to get this resolved or to see your credit change if you've had late payments or something happened that caused you to fall behind?
Right. So every month, the credit bureau is measuring what your activity for the last 30 days was, and it looks back 10 years. So everything that you had out there for 10 years is going to show. It'll also say if you've had an account that's been open since 2000, that'd be 20 years ago today, right? 2000, it's going to show that account's been open for 2000, and it's going to show how many times you were 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days late in that whole period of time.
Oh my.
Even though in the last 10 years you may have been on time, it will still say, 35 years ago you were late on this card, right? So it's measuring that over time, and it's using all that data.
This
to
is a
create-
Black Mirror episode.
to create a score that says, hey creditors, Daryl Baskin's not going to pay his bill, or he's going to pay his bill. And that's what they look at. So when we think about inquiries, right, because we're measuring the usage of credit and we're measuring how much you want to access your credit. So if you go out and you're going to buy a car, and you go out and pull, you go to four different car lots and pull credit at 4 different credit car lots, what the bureau sees is that, hey, you're out trying to buy a lot of credit, right? Now what it would do is it compartmentalize all of those cars if they happen within a certain period of time.
Is that a 30-day window?
It's usually looking at a little bit narrower than that. It's usually looking at it in the last couple of weeks.
Okay.
But it'll say, okay, these were all car dealerships. This person's just trying to buy a car. That's going to count as one inquiry.
They're assuming you're not trying to buy a fleet.
Right. Now, however, if you go out and you go to Mathis Brothers, and then you go across and you apply for a Capital One card, and then you go down the street and you apply for a car loan, and then you come to the credit union and you apply for a house loan, those are all different. And what it looks like is you're trying to escalate your credit. And then the credit bureau is going to say, whoa, hold the phone. This person's trying to really go back. As a lender, what we see, we open that inquiry, and we're going to see all of those car dealerships. We're going to see the Mathis. We're going to see all the different cars, all the different credit inquiries that
So-
are on there.
Now you've got some splaining to do.
And you got some explaining to do, right?
I get the picture now.
Right.
And
But there's a difference between a hard pull and a soft pull. A soft pull will not show up on your credit bureau. That's really the major difference.
well, how do I know the difference? How do I know the difference when I walk up and I'm talking to somebody and they say they want to continue the conversation, but they don't know what terms to offer, and they want to look at my credit?
Well, you need to make sure that you're thinking about that as, how is that going to affect my credit score? Am I ready to engage in business with this individual? Because a soft pull is never really done by a retail establishment. That is always done by a creditor who already has your credit. So if
So
came,
that's the definition of a soft pull.
So if you came to the credit union and you bought a car and you paid 12 payments on time and all of a sudden you stop making your payments, well, we may look at that credit bureau and go pull a new bureau and look at it to say, wait a minute, was this a straw purchase? Did you go and buy this for your son, and now your son's not making payments? Or was it, what's going on here? What's going on in the rest of the bureau? Is there something happening? They just missed their payments? What's going on? So it's really a function of the internal operations of the financial institution to look at the continued credit risk of the person they're working with. And by the way, when you sign your document, you give the credit union or any bank or any credit card company the ability to do that. They have the ability to
It's in that fine print.
It's in the fine print. So you're not. So when you engage in a relationship with someone, a bank or credit card or whatever, it's a long-term relationship until you pay that account off or until you close it. And they're going to continually be looking at it. And there are times where, if you think about during the Great Recession, right, you had people who had absolutely outstanding credit, never missed a bill, 35 years, and all of a sudden credit cards started cutting their limits.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that? Just came in arbitrarily, started saying we're going to cut these limits. Well, what they did is they went and looked at credit scores and they said anybody has a credit score of a 650 or a 620, we're going to reduce their ability
to maximize
that credit card. They're going to reduce the credit card companies and reduce its risk of liability from losses by reducing that based on an arbitrary factor like that. So it's really important to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Which is why this conversation is important. And the bottom line is your credit score can be your friend. And it can also be a real thorn in your side. You've got to watch it carefully.
If you are working in what they call risk-based pricing, okay, and what that risk-based pricing says is that if you're within a credit score of a 600 to a 620 and 620 to a 640 and so on and so forth, if you fall in that band, then you're going to be in a certain tier risk, which is going to get you a higher interest rate. The difference can be somebody with a 695 credit score could pay a quarter point higher in interest rate than someone with a 700 credit score.
Which
and
means
it's only 5 points.
Which means you're paying more per month for the exact same thing.
That's exactly right.
And that's not about being lucky. That is about making good financial decisions and planning for your future, which goes that fits the whole theme of this show between the things that South Tulsa Community House is doing for our neighbors in the community and Junior Achievement, who we talked about in the very beginning, why we need to teach the next generation this. And then it goes to the responsibility of you as a purchaser when we talk about getting a home loan, getting your house in order, and why working with, this is how I'm turning this into a commercial, working with TTCU and applying for your loan at ttcu.com. Even the newsletters, the communication, because it's member driven and member based, their interest in your financial health is very high because you are their customer and they're there to serve you as a customer and to help you gain and continue the growth of your financial independence. And that's why TTCU is such a great partner for us.
Right. So TTCU, it's important to know what it is. It is not a charity, but it's also not for profit. It's for its members. The whole focus is how are we making you have a better life, living a longer life, and paying less for it as you go.
I feel the focus because I'm a member. All right, ttcu.com. Go online, make your loan application, and lots of resources there. Go check them out, see what they can offer. I'm Daryl Baskin. You're listening to The Future of Real Estate, Tulsa's source for local real estate news and information. We will talk to South Tulsa Community House after this.
When quality and value matter most, choose Window World. Superior service, American-made products, and industry-leading warranties make us the #1 choice for your next home remodel. J.D. Power ranked Window World highest in customer satisfaction with window and patio door retailers. Be proud of your home and take care of it with a brand you can trust. Window World, America's exterior remodeler.
66 are the things that are most important on this side.
Diane, show me. Here, this is where Tulsa started, right?
Yeah.
So right here is where Red Fork is, Ollie's. You say oil was struck there, and
well, it's not far from there. I think it's actually actual wells like right up in here.
This vicinity,
Mhm.
and so what caused all of this growth up
into Tulsa? I mean, if this was originally Tulsa.
Well, just like I stated, is that, this is where all the drilling was going on. This is where all the roughnecks were. It was a very, very rowdy, full steam ahead community in this area. There was a lot of activity going on here. So, like I said, the oil barons, moved across over into here, into the 15th Street area to build their homes.
Okay, so
And
this
they
is now
started the downtown area.
this is now downtown, and back over here we have the redevelopment of Crystal City. This is Route 66, and what is it called? The Cyrus Avery Bridge.
Cyrus Avery Bridge,
That's the significance of that bridge, and Route 66 is that was the passageway into what's now our downtown.
Exactly. Well, now this is actually called the Cyrus Avery Plaza.
Plaza, okay.
And then there's the 11th Street Bridge. And they're really, the significance of them is two separate things. The bridge, because it gave them access to the other side of the river to transport things, to transport food, to move to do all the activity to. Otherwise, there was the other location that was down here. So the bridge that was down here. And these two were not here at the time. So this was one of the first ones, and it's very significant because it did give them access to downtown when they began.
And that explains why the west side of the river really was so industrial. This is where our money was.
This is actually where the well is.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's being, drilled here down in Creek County. There's just a ton of oil. In fact, right now, most of the oil in Oklahoma is coming out of Creek County. So it was all down in this area.
Well, Diane, with the new name is Route 66 Main Street.
Yes.
And we'll see signs and a lot of progress, really marking the redevelopment of Tulsa's history right here along Route 66 on the west side.
I think that choosing anything for your home can be intimidating.
When we are faced with a decision of this magnitude, and there are so many options and there are so many choices.
To have someone hold your hand and say, hey, these are some good options.
I can't. I can't. I don't even know.
There's somebody in our listening audience that is singing it right now.
What is it about music that just does this to you?
I don't know, man. I just can't hardly keep moving in my seat.
Pathways or pathway to empowerment. South Tulsa Community House is here. You're listening to The Future of Real Estate, by the way. I'm Daryl Baskin of Baskin Real Estate Specialist at eXp Realty. One address, thousands of homes, homeguidetulsa.com, homeguidetulsa.com. And if you want to schedule a phone call, talk 15 minutes, give you some free advice, tips, connect you to the right people, askinforbaskin.com. Use the 15-minute phone call link. Put it on the calendar. askinforbaskin.com, askinforbaskin.com. All right, enough of that. Maslow hierarchy of needs. Many of us are familiar with that, but I think many of us may not be. Physiological needs, the very, very base. I've got to have food, shelter. People who are existing there, and we all almost have at some point had some sort of situation in life that we can think back to, and it may have been at a different degree, a different level, but when you're operating there, you can't hope and dream about anything except maybe a bite of something to eat. Talk about the beginning to the end of your program, South Tulsa Community House, and helping people through this. And I'm guessing that's what Pathway to Empowerment is really all about? Or correct me.
No, that's essentially correct. The ideal goal of the pathway is not only to do that process that you just mentioned, but so the goal, let me just restart. The goal is to get them supported and satisfy those Maslow hierarchy of needs, and then put them in a position to then start moving forward and being competitive with the rest of the people in society more so. And
which is what really brings us to excel and to prosper and
to
create. Yeah, good.
And then get them in a flow to where then they're moving up the societal chain at that point in time. And one of the biggest things is bringing all these resources together and creating the pathway and essentially digitizing this. It helps us identify hurdles that we might not have previously seen, and it helps us to improve processes.
What does digitize mean? I know what digitize means, but what does it mean in your application? I don't quite understand.
track the services in the database
Okay.
and then connect that with their progression.
Okay.
So that we make sure that donors' money is being invested well. And
Because that's your accountability. People
Right.
are donating money to you. They want to see a difference in the community. They want to see something that can be
Right.
measured and people's lives that are changed.
Yes. And the pathway is fairly new. Lots of institutions will have one or two of these things in their building, but since we're trying to really bring all these things together that previously were kind of segmented or in different retail outlets, now we're able to have them all under one roof and then watch them with one person that's responsible for that and watching the whole process.
Let me connect some dots here for somebody who hasn't had to recently. I've had a lot of low-income property. I say a lot. For me, it was a lot. It was consumed a lot of my day. And I really got to understand and appreciate my interaction with people who were struggling, and they really deeply wanted to pay rent on time. They wanted to have their bills caught up. But when I would talk to them and I would give them a solution and say, this is what we'll do, this is how we'll work together, blah, 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 whatever. Well, one thing happened. They needed to apply for service from somewhere, so they had a plan to get it fixed. But the job that they had wouldn't allow them to be off long enough to stand in line, to get a ride, to stand in line, to deal with the red tape that every single listener here, you've had to call the water department, you've had to deal with the cable company, whatever it is that's happened. That is exacerbated with people who are trying to not only manage the very basic needs, but they're trying to get out of the hole, and it's like triple duty.
Well, and something that's just really interesting about this area too is that proportionally speaking, there's more people working in this neighborhood than there are in like 90+% of the other neighborhoods.
Say that again, because back to my original question, there's a skepticism. I think sometimes people are like, well, they just don't want to work.
Yeah, they actually are. And a pretty standard situation is a single parent who's working 2 30-hour-a-week jobs without a car to be able to go back and forth between the two. That's a struggle you can keep your job. And then childcare on top of that. And so you're trying to raise kids while working 60 hours a week at 2 different employers.
Now think about this. I know I'm taking you a little off track, but I just think of the struggle every day. Think about working 2 30-hour-a-week jobs without a car.
Yes.
And you have to go to work. You switch jobs at, say, 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you have to get from one to the next in 100-degree heat, and you show up dripping wet, and you're going to a job where it's not okay to show up dripping wet. And this now creates a difference in the quality of jobs, your employability. And adding to the struggle, you're not only tired, but you have to deal with that. I don't think many of us really understand my car has air-conditioned seats. It has the little vents in them. So, so we don't connect. We don't really understand. And that's where I'm so grateful for what you do and how you do it. Tell us a story about a success story where this has made a difference and someone's now seeing or living that American dream.
Well, actually, we periodically get people coming in and actually telling us that, without you, I wouldn't be there, and thank you for everything that you do. But a particular story is of a gentleman who came in wanting to look for work. He didn't know how to use the computer. He saw positions that were posted and had assistance from one of our staff to get onto the computer, do the application, and come in periodically to follow up to check, because he has no computer to check it from. And then he had an interview, and we gave him tokens to go for the interview. He came back, he said, I got that job.
Oh, wow.
He came back, he said, I got that job. And we are now providing tokens for him to be able to go back and forth, to go to work and come back. And we're also exploring other ways that we can actually support that by either giving a pass, which is much easier, that he can have a pass which not only takes him back and forth to work, but then he can also go to the supermarket. And on his way back, it doesn't restrict the trips. So that is a major success story. But we're having success stories every day. And our challenge is having the capacity to actually document them. We're very limited in staff as a resource. We're limited in financial resources to be able to actually document these things, as Christian says, digitize them, put them into the database, and use those to actually show how we're making positive changes in people's lives.
Who's behind this effort? the Hope Valley effort? Who are your partners, and how can we help?
Our partners are most of the charitable foundations in Tulsa. They've really helped us get up and going. But at this point in time, now we're seeking help from people in the community and even small business owners. Even $100 donations will make significant impacts everywhere, from food to us being able to employ people to do things like financial literacy, like you were referring to earlier, that requires somebody there getting them to start that process and start talking with somebody about that, and that requires a person to be there. So any sorts of small investments or donations help us. But as far as partners, we have people all over the city of Tulsa. We have a younger board that's very diverse, and we're growing a lot of leaders out of our charity too, that are trying to help amplify these things, not only in our area but all over Tulsa.
How much did Street Cred help you with just bringing attention to this area?
That has actually helped with some of our board membership, believe it or not, and it has also it put us on the map with everybody involved with that program. And whenever we get a chance to do anything like that, we always take full advantage of it, because one of the big things in our area is awareness. I worked for 5 years in that neighborhood, and we had a family business out of there, and then I went to Metro Christian, which was in the neighborhood for over 15 years. And it is really, the thing I was trying to explain earlier is along the same lines of people just not being aware of what the struggles are for the people in those neighborhoods. And it's really just a matter of fact of getting involved in something in the neighborhood like Street Cred, where you actually see and you realize many of the same struggles are the exact same struggles you see across all classes of people. But there are nuanced changes to them, and then the Maslow's issues add on to that. But going back to your question, any exposure, any accountability is absolutely great.
Well, I've got a free tip for everyone that's listening. It's not going to cost you anything but a pause before you speak. And that is, when you hear something about 61st and Peoria, Hope Valley, any of this area, instead of perpetuating this negative image that goes way back, that has nothing to do with today, simply pause and say, I hear there's some amazing things going on here. Thus the name Hope Valley. We need to do that as Tulsans. Just be quiet, hold your tongue for just a minute, and think about this program and some of the things that are happening. You will make a difference by simply encouraging other people. Great stuff happening here. I know, because I just bought a piece of property there, and I see the turnaround myself. 61st in Peoria to 51st to 71st to Lewis, and the Riverwood District, Hope Valley, as it's now called, and South Tulsa Community House. Look them up online, southtulsacommunityhouse.org. All right. You've been listening to The Future of Real Estate. Catch the podcast on krmg.com. We'll see you here next week.
Thank you all for having us.
You're welcome, guys. It's great.
Yes, thank you.